How's it going, guys? I'm ItFightsBack, and today I'm going to be doing a build guide on my lightning trap Saboteur. Now, this build is currently level 91, and I leveled it to 91 in hardcore solo self-found. And the premise behind this build was I dropped a Lioneye's Vision. Now, Lioneye's Vision says socketed gems are supported by level 15 Pierce. I got to wondering, okay, what can I do with Pierce? And then I was like, okay, what if I do Lightning Trap? And that's how this whole build came to be. Now, since I've died, I made a few slight changes to the character. I respect 4 nodes on the tree. I finished off what my goals that I had in SSF, which were to get a conductivity on hit ring, which I hit with the crit multi essence, which was pretty nice. I 6-linked my chest, and I changed my anointment. And I swapped in some more softcore friendly flasks. I was originally using a granite and basalt flask. And this is a dodge build. Acrobatics and phase acrobatics. But I've got an armor piece. I've got another big armor piece. I've got armor boots. I've got armor on my gloves. So defensively here, I'm currently at 18% physical damage reduction. With my flasks up, I'm at 62. So with endurance charges, that gets me to like 76% physical damage reduction, which is insane for a dodge build. So I'm going to run a map here before I get too much into this. I'm going to do half of this map with my armor flasks, and then I'm going to swap to these, especially for the boss, because I'll be honest with you right now, more needs to be done to this build for it to feel good against bosses. This boss, okay, cool, we get a delirium too. So, this build did amazing with ultimatums, but since I'm now in standard, I can't show off ultimatums. But even with my armor flasks, I'm clearing really well, I feel like. The other 2 flats are just going to be extra damage. But even the rares go down, and this is an elemental equilibrium map, so beyond the first hit from my traps, everything in here has an extra 50% lightning resistance. And I kind of get to show off an ultimatum. That's what this is, right? Not quite, but it also looks like there's a harvest in here. I can show off that too. This build does very well against harvests. So in here is where I'm gonna swap. I'm gonna turn off the delirium. Cool. Just to do this here. So here, I can pre-throw all these traps down. Then I can pop this. Throw some extra lightning spire traps. Elemental equilibrium sets in and things don't want to die. But like I mentioned, okay, now I'm going to swap my flasks and pop out to refresh them. So now I'm like doubling my crit chance basically, and also getting an extra 15% elemental penetration, which is cool. Do this one. Blue ones are typically the hardest. I gotta make sure I'm using my Enduring Cry more now that I dropped my flasks. Is that it? Yep, that was that one. Another one here. Easy traps. Pretty much like one-shot essences and strong boxes, because you can pre-stack everything. Oh yeah, so like that also went pretty well. Ooh, we even get another one. I'm gonna do the blue one again. Now, at the end of this video, after I go over the build more in depth, I am going to attempt an Uber Atziri. It might go well, it might not. We'll find out. But with the way my build is currently set up, there might be reason to have concern as for bosses. But I'm also about to fight an LE Equilibrium boss as well. Here. Shouldn't be too much of an issue. The boss also doesn't like to stay still. Hit it with the bear trap though. Bear trap is like the most satisfying sound in the game. And she jumps over all the traps. She doesn't go through them as she walks. That'd be ideal. Hard to get close to her too with these big fire things. Using a siphoning trap here for some extra life regen. Help with these burning plumes. But there we go. There's the boss. Not gonna worry about anything else here. I showed off a ritual. Did the harvests. That's the build in a nutshell there. Now I will go over things more in depth. So, like I mentioned, this build is centered around Lioneye's vision, which gives me 3 pierce. I can pierce 3 additional enemies with this chest. And with just the 5 link that I used in SSF Hardcore, I pushed up to I was doing red maps with it pretty easily. But my links for that were Lightning Trap, Elemental Focus, so I'm not applying ailments with crits on my Lightning Trap. Maybe that's not the smartest idea, but I'll explain that in a second. I'm using Lightning Penetration, multiple traps. I went with multiple traps instead of cluster traps because I felt like they were mostly all triggering all the time anyways, like all 3 of them when I threw them at the enemy. So I wasn't having an issue with it, and cluster traps, you do less damage. I mean, multiple traps is 33% less damage. Max level cluster trap, like the less damage multiplier is higher. So it's not, you're going to be doing less damage with cluster traps. Then I have Trap and Mind Damage, and my 6th link is Inspiration. Now, the necessity of Inspiration I'll go over once we're looking at the tree. There's other things you could do here. Instead of Elemental Focus, you could have slower projectiles even, or you could use Controlled Destruction while lowering your crit chance a little bit. There's lots of options for ways you can build around this. I felt fine with the multiple traps, throwing the traps in a line. Like, the explosions kind of hit everything when they go off. Like, it spreads so well with enough projectiles. So the last thing, I think I mentioned this, that I was looking for in SSF was conductivity on hit. That allowed me to replace my Orb of Storms, X-Touch, conductivity setup. So it freed up a lot of gem sockets, which enabled some new things. So my gloves here, gloves are just life and resistances. I have Lightning Spire Trap linked with added lightning damage, faster casting, and trap and mind damage. I never put too much thought into the Lightning Spire Trap. Just is what it is. It was there for extra damage against bosses. I wasn't really trying to scale it super well. There may be better gem links for this. My boots, I have Steel Skin, Enduring Cry, and Bear Trap all linked to Second Wind. I initially had Flame Dash in here, but it is now linked to Arcane Surge since I was able to drop the Orb of Storms, which is a big quality of life increase. Conductivity on hit ring really made this build feel a lot better. So my dagger here, I have Flame Dash, Second Wind, and Arcane Surge, like I mentioned. So Arcane Surge gives me more spell damage and also mana regeneration. This dagger is pretty almost ideal. Not quite, but it's close. You want +1 level of lightning spell skill gems and as much spell damage as possible. Flat lightning spell damage would be the best, but this flat cold spell damage is okay. I'm scaling trap damage, crit multi, so I'm not scaling as much lightning damage, so the flat cold damage of spells is still getting increased by all my damage for the most part. If I had global crit multi on the bottom of it, that would be fantastic, but I had an open suffix for crit chance for spells, as well as the implicit critical strike chance on this. So this dagger, I was very impressed with this. I didn't think I'd get a weapon this good in SSF. So like this is a pretty solid weapon. The shield, it's item level 72. I got it out of the ball side area. It's pretty much just some resistances and a bunch of flat lightning damage, spell damage. In here, I've got my siphoning trap, which siphoning trap, it's only level 18, but as long as it's attached to one enemy, it gives you 271 life regen per second, which is about 5%. And then it can affect up to 10 enemies, so in something like an ultimatum, you can attach it to 10 enemies. So I'm getting about 10% life regeneration when I'm using the siphoning trap. And then here I also have Vol Grace. That's the Vol skill I'm using to top off my dodge. Helmet is massive armor, crafted life. Intelligence on here was needed. Links here are Clarity, Summon Skitterbots, and Infernal Legion. That's the little burning thing around these. This allows Skitterbots to chill, shock, and ignite enemies. And these are linked to a level 3 Enlighten. This was a change made once I switched to SSF, or once I switched to Standard. Is needed because I have like 2 unreserved mana without it. Before this, I was just not running Herald of Thunder without the Enlighten. This was how I was playing. Herald of Thunder is not doing too much, but yeah, I can throw in it. This amulet, I rolled off Fractured all attributes. Lightning damage essence, I hit crit multi and life. Pretty solid. Anoint arcane potency, which required a silver oil. I did not have that, so this was also a standard edition. This ring is life and resistances, chaos resistance especially. Along with this belt, the belt had reduced flash charges used. Fractured onto it, I used chaos resistance essence on it, and I hit life and mana, and I was pretty happy with that. I never got around to getting a helm enchant or the ideal boots enchant, which is 120% increased critical strike chance if you have not killed recently, and when lightning trap kills something, it does not count as you killing it, so you cannot gain a lot of on-kill effects, like elusive on-kill, but you'd gain that crit chance permanently, so 120 crit chance if you have not killed recently is the best for boots. I think that's pretty much it for the gear. Flasks, Eternal Life Flask, Staunching, Catalyst for the increased recovery rate. I love this flask. Since I am playing a dodge build, Quartz Flask gives me another 10% attack and spell dodge, as well as phasing. I'm not 100% sure, but I do believe a phasing on kill onslaught or a bestial would not give me phasing because I'm not killing things. And then I have a Wise Oak. My resistance is here. My highest resistance is lightning, so I'm penetrating 15% lightning resistance while this flask is up, and taking 10% reduced fire damage because these aren't balanced. Diving Flask, remove freeze and chill. I'm immune to ignite and shock from my ascendancy. I'll show you. And then Alchemist Quicksilver of Adrenaline, the maximum amount of movement speed you can get off of a flask. But one other thing I want to mention here before I get into the tree is every other trap build I've played prior to this, I felt required to use the Sunblast belt. Because Saboteurs are generally pretty squishy. You can see right off the bat, like, I can just hold down right click and spam these traps now with the Sunblast belt, because this gives you 80% reduced trap duration, so they will detonate themselves. So what you can do, there's probably enemies still in here, so I can show this off. What you can do here now is I don't have to run into enemies. I can attack them from a distance. This is the one that I did. Here's another one of these. Oh, there's actually stuff here. So now I can kind of skirt the edges of stuff and play a lot more safe if using the Sunblast belt. And I'm just killing everything from range, not even giving it a chance to hit me. So I just want, if you've never played a trap build and you're interested in trying something like this out, I wanted to mention that. I love the quality of life Sunblast gives you. They're also really common and cheap in Trade League. You can corrupt them and get something, some kind of nice corruption on this as well. So let's get into the passive tree. First, looking on to my ascendancy, the first thing I got was Perfect Crime. Perfect Crime reduces cost of skills that throw traps by 25%, which early leveling felt insanely needed. So that was the first thing I ended up getting. It also gives you a 25% chance for your traps to trigger additional time, and you get 10% increased damage for each trap that's on the ground. So you can see here, it currently says my average damage is 28 to 89 as I'm throwing traps. 15 down, 46. So, like, the more traps I've got, like, as they disappear, the damage is going to drop. And it's higher as well because of the inspiration charges. Nope, wrong button. Next thing I got was Pyromaniac. This makes me immune to Ignite and Shock, as well as you regenerate 2% of life per second for each trap triggered recently up to 10%. So, as long as I've triggered 5 traps recently, which is not hard to do, I get 10% life regeneration, which is a lot of life regeneration. It's pretty nice. Merc Lab, I got Born in the Shadows. This makes it so you cannot be blinded, which doesn't affect you at all. You also take 10% reduced damage taken from blinded enemies. You blind nearby enemies, and you blind enemies on hit. So everything I killed in that map was blinded because I hit it with the lightning trap. And the last thing I got was Explosives Expert. This gives me 40% crit multi against burning enemies, 80% crit chance against shocked enemies, and 10% elemental penetration against chilled enemies. And since I am using Infernal Legion on my Skitterbots, that Infernal Legion is giving me 40% crit multi, and the Skitterbots are providing all 3 of these effects to enemies. So, as far as the tree goes, I mostly am spec'd into trap damage where it is. So early on, I was having mana issues. I grabbed Soul Siphon and Blood Siphon, and then I pushed up to Arcane Focus, and then I grabbed Saboteur. I always want to take the left side of this because this is where the trap throwing speed is. I believe the trap throwing speed is much more beneficial than the 14% trap damage. Trap throwing speed is how you really increase the damage of this. You could probably increase it further through jewels or cluster jewels. I think you can even craft trap throwing speed on belts, although it's a suffix. I couldn't craft it on here. So then you push up to Expeditious Munitions. This gives you a bunch of trap throwing speed as well, which very early on in this build will give you mana issues. Now, you can push up through Written in Blood. Doomcast is the last thing I got on here. But what I really want to do is I want to get over to this wheel here to get to Clever Construction. If you ever played a trap build from the start, you'll get to Brutus and you'll start throwing traps at him and he'll do his big slam attack and he'll destroy all your traps with the hits. So once you can get Clever Construction, your traps pretty much won't be damaged before they're detonated. If they're taking longer than 5 seconds to detonate, you've probably moved far away from that trap anyways. So it's not really of use to you. So this is really, 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 really useful for trap builds. But this node up here, I'll go back and mention, this is all crit chance and multi. But it gives you a 15% chance to gain a power charge when your trap is triggered by an enemy. So this is how, in the map, I was gaining power charges. So further on here, this is all crit chance and multi. Traps and mines, and this node here gives trap trigger area effect as well as trap damage penetrates 10% elemental resistances. So a more lightning pin. Coming down here, you get life, you get acro, phase acro, and important to note here, acrobatics says 50% less armor. And I'm stacking armor on this build, so pretty crazy. I grab a survivalist for resistances and plus max cold res. Flat 3% chance evasion. Not super necessary if you can deal with it another way, but I was playing hardcore, so. Then I've got Heartseeker down here. This was my last 3 levels I put into Heartseeker. 88 to 91. And then I had Herbalism, increased flask recovery rate. Makes this flask even faster, as well as life recovery from flasks increases the amount of life this flask recovers. So this is very awesome, especially when paired with the Catalyst Eternal Life Flask. Just over here, this is life and damage. This node does the same as the node above, but it gives you instead a 15% chance to gain a frenzy charge when your trap is triggered by an enemy. So now I've got frenzy and power charge generation just passively as I'm mapping. Don't want to worry about anything. Jewel socket here, I've got life and lightning damage and some resistances. You can get trap throwing speed on jewels, I'm pretty sure. So that would probably be something to look for. And then we go on the journey for life. Everything else down here, this is all life. I removed these 2 mana nodes that I took early on and put them down here. For reduced flash charges, flask effect, that's what it is. Further piggyback on this reduced flash charges gained, or flash charges used. And all my flasks I roll with reduced charges used. So it gets me a bunch more uses of my flasks and gets me a little bit more dodge and movement speed out of my flasks as well. As well, you're probably getting more lightning pin using a Wise Oak as well. So then as I'm pushing to the left here, you get the Scion Life Wheel. And then this is where I'd initially stopped, was just the Scion Life Wheel. Because I had initially pushed down and gotten Wind Dancer, which is great usually when paired with Acro Phase Acro. And then I got all of the Thick Skin Wheel. So I removed all of these points and the strength node that I needed to equip this chest piece. And then I pushed all the way down here to get Tireless and grab this jewel socket. Now, when I was trying to roll this fractured trap damage jewel, I hit reduced mana cost of skills, and then it got me thinking about this wheel out here to reduce the cost of skills. Without inspiration, my 5 link was costing me 42 mana. With all of this, so you can see pretty quickly that, oh, yeah, I wasn't using Herald of Thunder in my build, and like I mentioned, I put all these 4 points in. These 4 points, one of them was right here in this Evasion and Life node. 2 of them were up here in Shaper for the mana regeneration rate. And the other one was right here for this armor and life. Combat stamina is a bunch of life, regen, and armor. And yeah, this is all life and reduced cost of skills. So once you have the ability to put inspiration in, I went from a 42 cost 5 link with stacking all this reduced cost of skills, even on the ascendancy up here, 25% reduced cost, throw traps, cost 42, 6 link cost 21. So inspiration is huge. You're with 5 charges, you're getting 30% more elemental damage. And you're also getting increased critical strike chance, as well as reducing the mana cost. Pretty nice. Now I think that's the whole thing with the tree. Yeah, now I'm going to pull up Path of Building and talk about ways you could increase this damage further. Most Saboteur builds I've ever seen rely on having enough damage to pretty much one-shot an enemy, like even bosses. You can pre-stack enough traps and things that you're just going to blow the boss up. Now, I built this character to survive, so I think I may have mentioned it earlier. Like, I'm getting 50% less armor with all these flasks up. 62% physical damage reduction before endurance charges, 76% physical damage reduction with dodge. Pretty insane there. And this ring was the ring I was using here as well. Just needed fire resistance, so I used the fire resistance base to get this. Anyways, on to Path of Building. This will be linked in the description down below. So let's talk about what you can do if you want to make a similar build, but you want to juice the damage to the roof. So right here, okay, so let me first do this. I'll search trap nodes. So there are 3 trap nodes here. It also gives you increased area of effect and the trap trigger AoE. And then there's some trap nodes up here. This increases your cooldown recovery for your big traps. My lightning spire trap, it would increase the cooldown recovery, as well as give me additional use of both that and my bear trap. And the siphoning trap as well. But yeah, you could theoretically remove all of this from the tree. It drops me to 3,776 life, but let's be honest, that softcore, that's okay if you can one-shot the bosses, right? So let's see. Okay, we're gonna grab that damage there. We're gonna grab this trap damage here. We're going to get all of this here. We're gonna come up here, grab Throat Seeker, or grab Crackling Speed. Some extra lightning damage. We're gonna make some massive cluster jewel thing out of here. We're gonna get piercing shots. We're gonna drop the chest piece to something else. I don't know what. You could get maybe even Tinker Skin. Tinker Skin would give you phasing, and then you could replace this with an Atziri's Promise, and then you probably drop the siphoning trap. And you get an Ul's Uprising that allows you to use Wrath, and then you throw Wrath in, that's 20% more damage on top of everything. Yeah, then you've got a lot more damage. So, I've mentioned a few times, the build was built to survive. So, even with me getting this, I've got 11 passive points at level 91 that could still go out here into something. Let me go back. Don't save this and pull this back up. Again, this will be linked down in the video description. See this 5 traps triggered recently. Life regen, 708. If I take that off, it's 127. So those 5 traps triggered recently. That's so much life regen. But the inspiration charges, endurance charges, frenzy charges, power charges, always can have those up as long as you're using the enduring cry. And then everything is blinded, ignited, chilled, and shocked. I still don't understand how shock works. If you'd be like, I can even put 17% effective shock in here. Like, I don't know if it's affecting, like, I have to raise it to a... I'm not gonna mess with it. I wish shock just... I tick this box, it knows, okay, you've got skitterbots. The enemy's shocked, okay. That's how much damage it does. Numbers enemies affected by siphoning trap. 1. Okay, that jumps me to 900 something region. What about 10? 10, okay. So now I'm regenerating almost 20% life per second. Go to items here. Let's turn on this flask. Oh, it doesn't actually show the life regen of this flask. But yeah, the life recovery is pretty insane. But there we go. That is the tree. Ooh, now let's see if I can kill Uber Atziri. This should be interesting. Now, it's interesting with traps. A lot of people struggle with Atziri because she will reflect your damage just kind of innately. And traps are immune to reflect. So that's what makes this pretty fun. And I'll be honest with you, this is the 3rd time I'm trying this. So hopefully it goes well. The first time went fairly well, but I kept getting hit by Atziri storm calls and getting one shot. And the second time I got killed 4 times by the Vols right here in this first room, and then clutched out the rest of it in one try. So let's hope I don't screw this up this time. These things do a lot of damage. But we'll also get a look a little bit more of what bossing looks like with this. And again, like I don't have a Watcher's Eye either. Like, probably a Watcher's Eye that can just like juice this through the roof. Okay, I'm gonna swap. Like, always want to hit them with the bear trap. And look at this. I'm destroying all the enemies before they... There we go. That's how that's supposed to go. Now the trio is a little bit difficult, especially when using lightning trap, because you're going to be like hitting all 3 of the bosses at the same time, and yet there's one of them in particular you want to kill first, which is the one right here in the middle. So I'm going to throw a bear trap at her, I'm going to throw lightning spire traps, and then I'm going to probably enduring cry and move, and then start throwing lightning traps. That's why you kill her first, because she does that. Now, if I had my fizz flasks on, I might have survived that, but now they're all bunched here. There she is. Bear trap. When her arm goes up, you have to move, because she is casting that fizz rain on top of you. So as long as she goes down first, things should be okay. Okay, yeah, the rest of it's easy. You can just slowly like lure these guys through lines of traps. Like him with his cyclone. And you can bear trap them. The sound, it sounds so cool. The bear trap, the chunk. I really enjoy it a lot. It's weird seeing like 4 different colored charges just spinning around the character. It's actually pretty cool. Bear trap is... The bear trap having as much slow as it does is also really cool. This bear trap, enemies have 80% less movement speed when the debuff starts. It can really mess with Ironheart beasts and metamorphs, and yeah, it can do some crazy things to enemies, just completely immobilize them. Which is pretty nice. Now it's just Atziri. And to be completely honest, this is more of an execution fight than anything. As long as you don't get hit by stuff, you're fine. And of course, you don't want to get killed by reflect damage, which is great because I'm playing a trap build. Yeah, just that one storm call has potential to kill me. This is pretty fun. She detonates these traps still, so just kind of spam them here, and everything will eventually die. I also think there is an MTX for this that makes these lightning balls purple. I don't have that one, or else I'd probably be using it because purple's an awesome color. I didn't go too heavy on the MTX on this character because I was really trying to like fit the look in with the 3D item art of the Lioneye's chest. So I'm attacking the like reflect clone right here. That's normally the one you don't want to attack, but oh yeah, I didn't know where to go. Yeah, you can't get hit. Or you gotta come in here with like 80% lightning res and a topaz flask to be able to survive that. Uber Atziri is crazy boss. I'm not as intimidated by Uber Atziri as I am like an all in the delve. But yeah, this boss is very difficult. I'll throw the bear trap, 3 lightning spire traps, I'll throw a siphoning trap, and then don't get hit by the flame blast. Then don't get hit by the flame blast. And then don't get hit by the flame blast. Bear trap, lightning spire traps, siphoning trap. Oh, come on. He's making us wait. Well, while I'm waiting here, just want to thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think of the build. If it's something you'd be interested in trying. I feel like I took a approach to this that you're probably not going to have seen anywhere else. I've had a lot of fun playing it. It crushes maps. If I had to rate it like on a scale, it's probably like 9 of 10 for me. Map clear. Like 5 out of 10 on bosses. So I'm also going to continue playing in Hardcore Solo Selfbound with all of the characters I created for the Man, I flame dashed into... Anyways, I'm going to continue playing characters in Hardcore Solo Selfbound from the Gauntlet event. And so hit the like button, subscribe if you would like to see more build updates and build guides from me in the future. That's going to be it for me for this one. Thanks for watching.